Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the AZFSTV 6 channel. The place for you all to search for information about anime, manga, and much more. So, make sure you watch until the end of the video. Oh yeah, don't forget to press the subscribe button below and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our latest videos. Your support means a lot, and of course, it's free. Let's get started. Of course, this is a major threat to them. Luffy, who is still wandering in the forest, is approached by a pirate trolling with a captain named Lola and her subordinates. There, he is informed of Moria's weakness. It turns out that this trolling pirate has been trapped on the Tailor Bark ship for the past 2 years and couldn't get out because their shadow was stolen. During those 2 years, they collected shadows from zombies that were given salt because they didn't know who owned the shadows. They also hoped Luffy could defeat Moria and provide Luffy with one of the shadows. Luffy could even use a sword with that shadow. In the end, they were willing to buff Luffy with the shadows he had gathered because they could only use a maximum of 2 shadows. But in reality, Luffy was able to use up to 100 full shadows. He grew large and fierce. A sword was given to him, and he represented all the hopes of those who had lost the shadows with all the strength that already existed in his body. It turned out that Oars could use Luffy's Gomu Gomu powers. He along with Moria inside him attacked all the Straw Hats. Moria also explained that Oars was assisted by the power of shadows to be like Luffy. In this way, Moria controlled Oars to maximize his strength. He even showed how the shadow he controlled Oars' body. Of course, this became a very big problem for the Nakama. Brook would finally help attack and they did a joint attack again. Brook was thoroughly beaten when he attempted to attack Usopp with his rolling skill. Robin immediately tried to strangle Moria. However, Moria managed to relocate his body using a shadow to get behind Robin. In the end, Robin's shadow was taken and merely held. An emotional Sanji also heated up his legs, but still failed. Suddenly, Chopper informed everyone that Oars actually did not have hands when he died. So the current hands are artificial. They all had to keep attacking and even cut off his arm. They agreed to keep attacking Oars' right arm. And in the end, only Zoranami and Usopp were left to fight Oars and Moria. There was no other choice but to fight, so Zoro immediately ordered Usopp to prepare. Meanwhile, he advanced straight away. Zoro kept stalling, and Usopp looked for the right moment to shoot. He even provoked Oars until he got angry. Finally, Zoro lost, and Usopp managed to shoot a bag of salt into Oars' mouth. At first, Usopp was happy because he had won the fight. However, Moria had compensated for the deficiencies of his zombies. It was seen that he grabbed the sack. Of course, the two of them panicked and were immediately beaten by Oars. Luckily, Nami and Usopp were not crushed by Oars's brutal stomp because they were saved by Luffy. Luffy demonstrated his strength in front of Nami and Usopp. He was truly serious about defeating the giant creature. Because the hope of winning has returned, the maritime crew rolls into the field and helps the critically ill Mugiwara crew. On the other hand, Kumo is just watching. He seems to be waiting for the outcome. With a powerful attack, Luffy successfully defeated Oars. He also ran out of energy and the 100 shadows he used had exited. While everyone was happy because Oars and Moria were knocked down, they immediately began to think about how to reclaim their shadows besides waking up Moria. But not long after, Oars turned out to rise again. Panic started anew. However, the spirit of the Mugiwara crew and their comrades didn't crumble just like that. They got back up and worked together to fight against Oars. Brook helped Luffy climb up the main mast of Thriller Bark using Robin's technique. Nami also made it rain. Frankie and Usopp built a freezing device. Then Sanji prepared the chains and Chopper also measured Oar's spine alignment to ensure it would break all at once. Meanwhile, Zoro would focus on his abdomen. And once again they managed to take down Oars fatally. Oars. Now they have completely defeated Oars. Luffy also shrank because of his Gear 3rd. However, their shadows had not returned yet, and the worst of Fajar had been seen. Moria had also risen. It was unlikely that he would simply return their shadows. He instead buffed himself by absorbing 1,000 shadows from the zombies he created. He became larger and 10 times stronger than Nightmare Luffy. Everything then turned chaotic. Lola's subordinates also continued to shield themselves from Fajar's light. But it was different with the Mugiwara crew. Even though they were pressured by such dire circumstances, they didn't retreat at all. Even when their skin was burned. Luffy then used his second gear and immediately tried to attack Moria. With every attack Luffy made, Moria released his shadow. It seems that Moria was also unable to fully handle 1,000 shadows. In reality, even though Luffy had been trampled by Moria, he still got up and combined the second and third gears simultaneously. In the end, Luffy managed to defeat Moria, and Moria's main castle collapsed and fell on him. They were all wrestling with time because there were so many shadows emerging from Moria's body. Even Zoro, Robin, and Sanji had already lost half of their bodies. Switching to another sea, some pirates seemed happy because their shadows had returned. They were also curious about the person who defeated Moria, who had once dueled with Yonko Kaido. That moment happened to everyone who was still alive without shadows. From Marin to the shadow of a maid that was stolen for Sindri's corpse. Returning to the bar trailer, Zoro, Sanji, Robin, and Luffy perfectly regain their shadows. Everyone is happy with the Mugiwara's success in defeating Moria. On Absalom and Hogback's side, they are also still alive but now confused about what to do since the bar trailer has been destroyed. On the Mugiwara crew's side, they continued to contemplate. They all began to realize that their strength was still weak and needed to become stronger in the future. In short, the old man who had begged Luffy earlier arrived. He also expressed his gratitude to Lola and her crew. They were willing to help bring Gecko Moria's treasure onto the Mugiwara ship. Pinami immediately fell silent. He just remembered that in this bar trailer, there was another Shichibukai. Without further explanation, Kuma was already above them with his Denden Mushi. The atmosphere tensed up again even as the voice from Kuma's Denden Mushi said that the world government seemed to have ordered Kuma to eliminate everyone in the bar trailer. With teleportation skills and tremendous power, Kuma caused chaos among Lola's crew there. Naturally, Kuma then immediately confronted Zoro. As the second in command of his crew, Zoro braced himself against Kuma with a strong mentality. In the battle, Kuma explains that he is the eater of the Nikyu fruit, referred to as the poor human. Frankie innocently says that Kuma doesn't seem as difficult as Moria, and Kuma shows them the difference in their levels. When Sanji tries to help, his kick doesn't have any effect, and instead, it's his own leg that ends up hurting. Kuma really threatened them all. He also used his power by compressing the air to create a damaging shockwave. He then negotiated, stating that they would all be spared if he could bring Luffy's head. Of course, everyone firmly refused. Kuma then gave his dense air and exploded. The explosion made everyone there collapse. When Kuma was about to take Luffy, suddenly Zoro managed to injure him, revealing that he is a far more superior cyborg. Specifically, a pacifista. Kuma also further explained that the pacifista is a world government project designed as a weapon of mass destruction. And the project was created by Dr. Vegapunk, the most intelligent human who surpasses human intelligence by 100 years. Zoro is also truly critical and has already reached his limit. He even offered to replace Luffy instead, and they believe that Luffy will become a pacifista. Weak and trembling, Sanji approached them. He offered himself too, but Zoro kicked Sanji out. He knew his fellow cook was strong, but it wasn't his responsibility to represent all of this. Zoro's seriousness was truly acknowledged by Kuma, but before that, Kuma wanted Zoro to feel the physical burden on his body. Kuma then drew out all the pain and injuries that his captain had experienced. If Zoro were truly serious, he would be willing to feel it. Kuma then gave Zoro a small portion, and Zoro genuinely felt like he was going to die. Zoro stood up again. He also begged to feel everything. In short, Kuma moved away from the battlefield and acknowledged Zoro's prowess. He also expressed his high hopes for the child of the dragon. In short, after everyone woke up from their unconscious state, Luffy woke up full of energy, not feeling anything. Sanji, who also woke up, immediately ran somewhere. He then met Zoro, who was standing tall, covered in blood. On the other hand, using his small boat, Moria was taken away by Hogback and Absalom. Absalom also saw the news that Ace had been captured and taken to Impel Down. The next day, the children started tidying up. They also obtained a lot of gold from looting in Thriller Park. Nami also began to recognize that Lola was Captain Lola of the trolling pirates. According to Chopper, Zoro was also near death and had not woken up after a day had passed. They also distributed food. Besides that, they were confused about where Kuma had gone. Two of Lola's subordinates initially wanted to answer that question, but Sanji pushed them out to speak with him instead. It turns out the two men were not unconscious and actually witnessed everything regarding Zoro and Kuma with Sanji. Sanji then asked them not to speak to anyone to honor Zoro. Their conversation was secretly heard by Robin, and they all ended up eating together. When Brook played his piano, he spoke with Sanji, mentioning that he was also a witness to the incident involving Zoro and Kuma. Everything was quite amazing and full of loyalty. After that, Luffy once again invited Brook to join his crew. He also talked about his dream of reuniting with his friend, Laboon. In the end, Brook cried because it turned out that Laboon was still alive and waiting for him. He felt truly fortunate to meet Luffy and felt alive again at that moment. Brook then recounted his past. He was a musician and swordsman on the Rumbar Pirates. Their captain was named Yorkie. Accompanied by music on their journey, their ship was approached by a cute baby whale. The whale continuously followed them. Even when they were in battle, the whale also helped them. The whale named Laban was very close to them, especially Brook. In short, they agreed to tell Laban not to follow them because it was dangerous. But Laban didn't want to listen. When they were about to go to the Grand Line, they even pretended to be quiet so that Laban wouldn't follow them. A week later, without Laban, they entered the Grand Line. After successfully passing the reverse mountain, their ship got damaged and they met Old Man Crocus. They were even more surprised when Laban unexpectedly decided to join them on the Grand Line. With nothing else they could do but have fun, they enjoyed their leisure time while repairing the ship. In short, before they set off to sail the Grand Line, Brook had a deeper conversation with Laban. Yorkie, as the captain, also added that in the next 1 to 2 years, they would return to meet Laban right at the gate of Rivers Mountain. Laban was willing to be left behind by them and cared for by the old man. After his death, Brook was truly alone. He even always remembers the captain and his other friends. He often hallucinates about crowds in every room of his mind, even though he is now truly alone. In short, Captain Yorkie was infected with the virus and is on the brink of death. He tried to evacuate by separating from his crew, and the captain's position was filled by Brook. Back to the present, Brook shows the tone dial he found. The tone dial contains the recording of the final song his crew performed before the death, and it was prepared for Laboon, who is far from their location. In the end, Brook officially became a member of the Mugiwara crew, and they now welcomed a new crew member. Brook also introduced himself. With a bounty of 33 million, he laughed and officially joined the Mugiwara. 2 days later, Brook was given a grave by Frankie, Usopp, and Chopper for his friends from the Rumbar Pirates. Coincidentally, Zoro also came. He placed his broken Yubashiri there. In short, the journey to Fishman Island was about to begin again. All supplies and treasures had been packed. Lola also gave her mother's Vivricard to Nami as a precaution in the new world. So if something happens to the owner, something will occur with the Vivricard. Vivricard cannot get wet and burned. They will react when the owner experiences something. That is the paper of technology in the new world introduced by Lola. Dovey was reminded of the paper given by Ace while in Alabasta. It turned out to be a Vivricard. And unfortunately, Ace's Vivricard burned bit by bit. Finally, they continued their journey and parted ways with Lola and others. Thriller Bark, which had already been destroyed, was once again shrouded in mist. There also turned out to be a large creature living in the Florian Triangle area. It seems that all the crew members are somewhat worried about Luffy's brother. However, Luffy tries to stay positive and believes that his brother can resolve his own problems. To conclude the story, they celebrate their victory together. Thank you for watching this video until the end. If you like the content, don't forget to click the like button, share with your friends, and write your thoughts in the comments section. I really want to hear what you think. And of course, for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, just click the subscribe button below and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any exciting upcoming videos. Remember, your support makes this channel more enthusiastic about creating content. See you in the next video. Stay healthy, stay motivated, and always be the best version of yourself. Bye.